He covered me from my knees to my breast with heavy bruises. The entire back of my thighs and my rear end were jet black. But regardless, I couldn't go to the police. I would have to confess to being a prostitute. Criminalization caused this. I have no recourse. I didn't even go to the hospital because I couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain. I mean, it was obvious to anybody that it was a sexual assault and a bad one. This happens to a lot of us, and as long as I'm a sex worker, as long as anybody's a sex worker, this can happen to any of us. And that's really what it being illegal does. For anybody who thinks that they're protecting society, the only people who are protected by criminalization are predators.
I have been beaten before. I have been drugged in cars. I've had my stuff vandalized.
I have been drug out of the car. I have been, left on the side of the road, smacked, beaten, bloody noses. My throat was slit one time. I was buried alive, after that. I have just been cut, raped. This one here was trying to get away from a guy who had just raped me in his car, and I was trying to get away, and I kicked the windshield out of his car, and somehow or other a piece of glass cut me across my arm there.
People I know who've been drugged by a glass of water, and they don't see it poured, they drink it, they wake up a day later. For men, reporting rape is met with enormous challenges.
We see people in the hospital who have been pretty severely beaten. We see burn marks from cigarettes. We see signs of torture with a lot of people, and we know that some people don't survive these acts of violence that are done against them while they're doing their sex work.
There were a lot of women that was getting taken away from other areas. They was finding them in other areas dead.
In the last 2 years here, we've had, if I'm not mistaken, 5 transgender people murdered. We just had one of the girls that I was very fond of murdered right down the street from here, actually not even 2 minutes from here, by a 17, 18-year-old kid. Picked her up, had sex with her, then tried to rob her. She fought. He shot her in the head.
So many people have gotten hurt, and they were doing things like maybe working at night, maybe helping somebody out, or just existing. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad that they're not here anymore. So it's so touchy to me because those people wish they had an answer for why someone killed them.
Regardless of how you end up in sex work, don't let anybody tell you that you're any less of a person.
The violence that happened to them while they're doing sex work, they don't deserve it, and they need to recognize that, and that's part of the community support and empowerment that we want to provide to them, is knowing that they never ever deserve to have violence against them. They always deserve to be safe, no matter what they're doing, no matter where they are.
No woman, no man, no matter what you're doing, you do not deserve to be beaten, stabbed, or left for dead. That's just insane.
Spiritual trauma is also really common because especially in the South, a lot of sex workers are from religious denominations and faith or spiritual folks, and it's really damaging to their psyche when they are the victims of violence, but oftentimes they may feel that they were deserving of it because they chose a field that's not correct with their faith, and oftentimes leads to more inner conflict, which will lead to self-medication oftentimes with drugs and alcohol, which then puts people more at risk for future violent situations. So that's something I'm really, really concerned about. There are some great programs in the South that have used people of faith to go out and do outreach and talk to people about how this isn't the end of the world. There are opportunities for you to keep doing this if that's what you want to do, and be okay with your faith. There are ways to, a lot of folks are like, God understands that you got to do what you got to do to take care of your family, and if this is what you got to do, this is what you got to do until you're ready for the next step, or till whatever happens in the future. So but it is a really tough thing for individuals to navigate, because it is a very complex issue, and a lot of people won't go there. Where they do go is telling people not to do it, but that's not an option if you have a child to feed.
Just because you are selling yourself for whatever reason, you still have rights.
I'm a person. I deserve to live too. And just give me that respect.
I would say to utilize a buddy system, try to be out on the streets with a partner, see if you can get a John with a partner, make sure that they see what car you're going in, see if they can get the license plate. Hopefully y'all both have got cell phone numbers so you can check in on each other.
Always let somebody, other female, know where you're going. I know that I used to get into a vehicle, and my girlfriend that was a couple blocks down the road, she would notice the make and model color of the car for me, just in case I didn't come back.
I believe in trying to get the girls to understand that even if they don't get along, that they're all in this together and they need to look out for each other.
Use the buddy system. Tell somebody, I have this client coming. I'm going to text you before he gets here. I'm going to text you when he leaves. Have a safe code. I've got a safe word code with a friend that I can trust. We have it with each other, that if I send her that code, that means call the police.
You need to let somebody know where you're at. So there's also issues around having a network of people or a person or some kind of system where you're notifying people of your location.
Listen to your intuition. If anything raises a red flag, walk away. You don't ever need the money that bad.
Always trust your instincts. If you don't feel safe, don't get in the vehicle.
If something looks sketchy, it's not worth the money.
I had some experiences where I just felt like the guy was going to hurt me, and so I wouldn't go with him. So I'm for whatever reason, I listened to my gut on a number of levels, except that one particular night when I was really messed up. One tip I would say is to not be super high and do sex work.
It is not good to go to your job as an accountant intoxicated. It's really not good to go to your job in the sex industry intoxicated.
I don't tell people not to use, because sometimes you got to use to do the job. Just be mindful that you're at a state where you can work and make decisions. So if alcohol is your drug of choice, then only take a couple drinks if a couple drinks is all you can handle. If you do a stimulant, just to use an amount where you can still make clear and concise decisions. The ones I get really concerned about is when people take downers. When you take downers, it really affects your ability to make decisions, especially not if you're taking a light amount of downers, but a heavy dose of downers, such as a lot of oxycodone, or if you take a lot of heroin, more than your standard dose, it's going to affect your ability to make clear and concise, life-changing decisions, where you may make a decision where you're more likely to be in a situation of violence.
Stay in areas that have a little bit of light.
When you're getting in that car, take a look in the back seat, make sure that there's nobody else in that car.
I try very hard to get hotel rooms that face the parking lot so I can see who's walking in.
Go to a familiar spot. Go to a motel room that you already have maybe an established relationship with that motel.
Having a bag ready, of course, is very important. And in that bag, you should really have a collection of things that you need, whether they're security stuff, whether they're sexual safety stuff like condoms and lubricant, whether they're like a couple bucks if you need to get a cab someplace if anything should go awry. Having a bag that you know is available to you to just grab and go in any emergency case is incredibly valuable.
One that I really recommend is you carry a couple tools on you. And that would be a whistle and mace.
Carry mace or a whistle?
I have mace with me. I also have WD-40, the lubricant, because that works better than mace.
Make sure that clothing-wise, you are dressed to be attractive, obviously, but also so that you can run if you need to. Make sure that your clothing is safe.
Wear shoes that if you're wearing high heels, that they're high heels you can easily peel off to run.
Wear tennis shoes so that you can get away. Heels may look pretty, but if you're in a situation, you really can't run and get away with heels.
Set your price higher rather than lower. Price yourself out of the market for a lot of them. That even though you lose some business, the more dangerous clients tend to go for the lower price girls.
Make sure that you set your guidelines and time limits and get your money up front.
Get the money up front and put it someplace that's hard for them to get to. That way you can throw them out, get it behind you.
Always make sure to get your money up front, because if you've got to take off, then at least you're getting paid for the contact.
If you're doing it through the internet, try to know your date, do a little research.
When you're screening your dates, one of the things that's really important if you do have access to the internet is there are some national bad date sheets, and to look the individuals up to see if they're on that or not.
There's bad client databases that once you establish yourself as a provider and can document that you're a legitimate provider, you can access. Some are free, some you have to pay for. And they're essentially bad client lists, which you can both background check somebody or you can add them. A lot of times I've had success just by Googling a phone number. It will either tell me who they are, or sometimes it will immediately pop up. That phone number will pop up by itself in Google on the National Escort database, the blacklist, and that's it. But I will not give them my exact location until I'm positive that I want to see them.
We started the North Carolina Bad Date Line, and it's just a place where individuals can go and look up who's a bad date, who should I not trick with, who should I not be with because they are a potential source of violence. It's a way to get the word out there that you can be safe, you can get rid of bad predators off the street, you can give hope and faith to your fellow sex workers that we're looking out for each other. So it's just a great opportunity to take care of each other in North Carolina, which is what we do best.
When I hug a lady who's been so strung out on crack that she weighs 97 pounds, and I hug her and I can feel her, and I tell her that I love her, and I do. I remember how I used to be and how I craved somebody to tell me that it was going to be okay. So it helps me. I just hope that what I do makes a difference somehow, some way.
I would like no one to go through what I have. And ultimately that is my objective. And if they have, I would like them to have access to resources that I do not. And that's the goal of my work.
The violence has to stop.